Welcome to More Than No Podcast. I'm your host, Josh Morin, Vice President and co-founder of Field Supplements, as well as sobriety, woke, business, and wellness coach. More Than No delivers an array of content based on marketing, health and fitness, personal branding, addiction, and often goes down this rabbit hole of politics, conspiracy, and the truth. If you seek to better understand the inner workings of human consciousness, performance, business, and humanity, you have come to the right place. Thank you for tuning in and tagging along. Let's get today's podcast started. What is going on, everyone? It is Friday. It's a smoking hot Friday. It's Satan's asshole down here, 100 plus degrees in Glendale, Arizona. And I am sending the light, love, and positivity to everyone out there around the world, or the 50 people who watch this. And maybe one day, 50,000 people will be watching this. But for now, this is for the people who are tuning in on this beautiful Friday. Before I jump into today's podcast, which I believe is going to be a little bit more of a different topic than I've talked about before. I've talked about it slightly, but just not in this round before. And it's going to be the dynamics of relationships, dating, sex, all sorts of juicy stuff. So I really have some solid content planned today. But before I jump into that, the Morin family and the TNT family, the Field Supplements family lost a good guy today with my little bro, my dad's dog, Tafuli. So family dog passed away today. So rest in peace, my dude. Sending a prayer and keeping my dad in prayers. I don't think I've ever seen him love something other besides his children than that dog or another living thing. So it's really, really cool to see what unconditional love means. And animals really do that, is promote and really show what unconditional love looks like in a tangible sense. And that's what I really do now have a deep appreciation for animals. And I do understand what owners go through with owning their dogs. I had a dog of mine that I adopted, Tough. After 6 weeks, I adopted him, and he's from California, and he ended up having parvo and canine distemper. And I no longer have the dog. So sad thing, but I can only imagine having a dog for 13, 14, 15 years, and then you're having to put down your dog. So my condolences to my dad. And it's I shed a little tear earlier because he was just an awesome little dude to be around. And obviously, I've been down here in the desert, but a family dog's a family dog. Once you're part of the family, you're family forever. So with that being said, I'm going to jump in today's podcast, going to get things a little bit juicier today and talk about the dynamics of relationships, dating, hookup culture, sex, all of that. Because I think recently I've had some pretty awesome conversations with both men and women who, well, both sides of women who I am romantically involved with and not romantically involved with. So friends and those who I'm romantically or have been romantically involved with, and my friends, my buddies mainly, and gotten their perspective on things, the dating culture, what's going on nowadays. And first and foremost, obviously things aren't like they were 50 years ago. This isn't your grandma and grandpa's dating culture or even just world that we're living in. Things are completely different, and especially the introduction of social media and all these social platforms. I feel that things are definitely not the same, and I'm sure that you can agree with me to that, and that's not anything new to you. But with things not being the same, essentially relationships, the dynamic of relationships are completely different, and I feel that now you're starting to see a new understanding and perspective and even acceptance. Even if you're not on, like, for me, I've been so exposed and part of so many different types of relationships, and well as like met people who are gay or bisexual or lesbian or pansexual or whatever their sexual preference is. I have been introduced to so many different cultures, from living in Hawaii and being a hippie and living in Portland and being in the Pacific Northwest to Arizona. I have seen so much, and I've been part of so much, that I feel that my perspective on relationships is really broad. I'm no expert relationship. I'm not here to give relationship advice. I'm simply here to share my experience, because I feel those who have a lot of experience have a lot of knowledge and understanding. And that's what I'm here to do is shed some of this understanding and shed some of this light because things are just not different anymore or not the same anymore. And the biggest thing that I have seen, though, or the first thing that I want to talk about within the relationship realm is I want to go to the first pivotal key point of all relationships for them to be successful is communication. That will always and forever be the most important part of anything in all relationships is communication, but especially relationships that are romantically and sexually involved. So let me give you an example, and this is something that I've seen really take place over the last few years is instead of being a fuckboy, and so this is for all the guys out there, what I've been seeing is the increasingness of serial monogamy. Whereas you want to be monogamous, you want to be with a single partner, you don't want to share your partner with anybody else, you don't want to be in an open relationship, and you want to have just one partner. But what I see is I see serial monogamy, where you go from partner to partner, and maybe it's a couple of weeks or 2 or 3 weeks, maybe it's a month. And then essentially what happens is amongst that time, it's great. You have a lot of sex. Things are awesome. You're doing a couple things together. You're sharing conversation. Things are going on. And all of a sudden start to think, man, maybe this is not. You start to question things. You start to maybe somebody shoots you a message over here, or an ex shoots you a message over here, and a cuter guy hits you up, or a girl that Snapchats you or on Instagram or likes your photo, and you're like, well, maybe I'm going to dive down that hole, and I'm going to try to figure out maybe if she's into me, and you have all these different distractions going here and there, right? All this back and forth, right? Well, typically what happens is at the end of the month, at the end of the 2 to 3 weeks, you find a way to create conflict because what you want will happen. Conflict will happen, and then you'll find a way to no longer be part of that relationship. And then what happens is you guys have a blow up, you guys fucking ghost each other, you delete each other from social media, and all of a sudden you're back at square one, and it continues. The pattern continues, and essentially you go from monogamous relationship that's short-lived to monogamous relationship that's short-lived to monogamous relationship, and on and on and on and on and on. And what is the difference between that and just being single and having multiple sex partners? Is there any more valor in having a serial monogamous type lifestyle than somebody who's single and has multiple sex partners? I don't know. That's a question that you have to answer for yourself. Obviously, people, I feel that most of the time, this is what I see, though. To answer that question, this is what I see. I see that most men, and I'll say this for men, but there are some women out there, but I will say most men do not communicate their intentions. Most men fail to communicate their intentions as the relationship starts. So typically they find themselves in these serial monogamous relationships or a temporary monogamous relationship because they got themselves too deep into the relationship by what they've said, what they've shared, the things that they've done. And what you all essentially we have done is we've led on a woman to believe that we are wanting to have a deeper, intimate relationship more than sex. But on the very top of it all and the core of it all we wanted from the first place was just to get laid. We just wanted sex. But typically, men from the get-go don't communicate properly and state their intention early. And that is a huge problem. So all you fellas out there that are watching this, take some advice, man. Because I will not say I've been perfect. I will promise you that I am the furthest thing from perfect when it comes to women. But what I will say is what I've learned is if you just want to have sex with somebody and you just want to have it be a sexual relationship, save your partner some time, save yourself some time, energy, and some possible chaos, and state that from the get-go. Let them know, hey, this is really all this is it. This is right here. This is where I'm at. I'm not looking for a relationship. I love having sex with you or being sexually involved with you, and that's really as deep as I'm looking to go. And if they're cool with that, and if they're like, oh, you know what, that's where I'm at, and they're okay with that, then move forward. But what I do see is most of the time guys just want to have sex. They want to get laid. So then they find a way to seduce women, essentially lie to them, lead them on. And then down the line, they'll have sex with a woman. And then eventually they'll find a way out of the relationship and skirt out as fast as they can at the first sign. And that happens over and over. Why? Because I have done that a couple times. I found myself in a couple of these relationships, and I look back and I'm like, man, I wish I could change that. But the only way to change it is to move forward, to grow from it and not repeat history again and make the changes within inside yourself. But I'm seeing this happen over and over and over again, and more often than it has before, instead of just being open and communicating in the beginning and saying, hey, these are my intentions, this is what this is, and this is what I'm looking for. Is this what are you looking for? Asking them, okay, in return, what are you looking for? And then on the opposite side of things, if you're a woman and deep down inside you want to have a relationship with this man, but you feel that maybe this is an in to get to his heart, that is not the route either. Stand for yourself. If a man tells you that all he wants is sex from you and he's communicating this to you, but you want a relationship and you want something more, tell him. And if he doesn't want that, cut that relationship right there, because you're only setting yourself up for disappointment later. But that's what it comes down to. As humans, and men and women, we must begin to start to communicate more. All right? If you are somebody who's used to or wants to have open relationships, you should talk to somebody. I've been with partners that are in open relationships. I've understand the dynamic. I understand all sides of the spectrum. And it's really crazy to see is that sometimes people who are in open relationships getting written off as like, oh, that's a crazy person. I could never do that. But aren't you essentially doing that when you're just going from one partnership to the next partnership to the next partnership? It's no different. Essentially, these people that are in open relationships and these people that I know are in open relationships, they have such strong connection besides it just being sexual within their main relationship that it's really incredible, because most of the time, I'll be honest, what is a big reason why most people cheat? People aren't going and cheating and having fucking coffee, okay? People go cheat and have sex. People aren't going to cheat to have coffee. They're going to get laid. And, all right, if you could find a relationship or be in a relationship, I'm not promoting open relationships, but I've been around them long enough, and I've been introduced to them. I've never been in one myself where I've had a girl that I was in an open relationship with, but I've been part of an open relationship with somebody who was in one. And all I could say is that the dynamic is not quite what you think, because typically their relationships that are the people who are part of these relationships are much stronger. Why? Because the communication, the vulnerability, how genuine they are and how open they are is on a whole nother level. They're not afraid to say, you know what, that guy or girl's attractive. I'm seeking to maybe better understand them and maybe have sex with them. Or like, how many times have you been with your girl, or how many times have you been with your guy and seen an attractive person walk by and all of a sudden you're like, why are you fucking looking at them? Why are you looking at them? Well, here's the thing, Jack. All right? I'm not the hottest dude in the world, so if my girl looks over at some guy and is like, man, that guy's attractive, that's great. And obviously that's what it comes down to, is before you're in this relationship, I hope that you can have a good enough understanding of each other and a good enough friendship to be open about things like that. And not saying that you have to be in an open relationship to say, oh, well, I want to go have sex with that guy now, or I want to go have sex with that girl. But if you are wanting something like that, that's where you have to communicate that early in the relationship. And if you're not willing to communicate that early in the relationship, how is the other person going to know what your expectations are, what you want, and what you and really what you desire? And if you don't speak clearly and let people know what you want and then state your intention, then the pattern is going to continue to increase and increase and just go on forever. And what happens is these men over time, and women over time, they keep taking the traumas from relationship to relationship to relationship. And what happens is they carry that trauma into the next relationship, and they carry that trauma in the next relationship, and nothing ever gets resolved. Nothing ever gets let go. They've never internally looked inside themselves and looked and let go and surrendered to these feelings. They've never done that. They've never done the inner work. And what happens is the pattern increases. So we have all these fucking hurt people out there, hurting people. And we all these people who are not vulnerable, hurting each other because they're not communicating how they truly feel and what they truly desire. And that's what it's our importance to start to talk to each other. If we want to be the change, the way to be the change is to begin to step into our power, to become vulnerable, lead with love, and begin to open our hearts and communicate effectively. That's the only way. Otherwise, people are just going to guess and guess and guess. You can guess a million times, millions and millions of things, what somebody's thinking or what somebody wants, but the only way to for sure know what they want is for them to tell you. So if you want something deep down inside, let your partner know. And men, stop doing this with women. I know that there's situations where women, but you rarely see women like leading a guy on and like wanting him to like pretend that she's into him, the date, and then all of a sudden it goes the other way. Typically, the man wants to dive into this relationship and dive into the connection, make her feel wanted, have sex with her, and then after he's done having sex with her, he's essentially fulfilled his goal, and then it's over. It's kind of ghosted, or maybe it happens a couple times after that, but then it's on to the next one. It's called serial monogamy. So I hope that this reaches somebody that really needed to hear it today. I speak from experience because I have been on both sides of this. I've definitely seduced women in that same very fashion, and that's why I know about it. And I have friends that do the same thing. I know people that are on all spectrums of this, and I just wanted to talk about it because I've seen a few posts lately about this, and I was like, man, this would be a great topic for today's conversation. Is we got to start talking, and if we don't start talking, the boat ain't rocking, baby. Last thing is, don't lower your stock just because you're horny. Just because you want to feel love and feel connected, stop lowering your stock. If you want a relationship, you want a monogamous relationship, and you want a man to be committed, don't have sex with a man until he proves that that's what he wants to. And it's not a fucking week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks. See if it can be a month or 2 months if a man's like expressing that he wants a relationship with you. You take control, ladies. You guys have the power. I know y'all get horny and y'all think that sex really connects relationships, which it does. Intimacy does. But if you want a strong monogamous relationship, test your man if that's where he's at. And that's the best way to start to remove and filter through these people that aren't committed. Now, if you're also somebody who just wants to have sex with somebody, tell them. Let them know, hey, I just really want to hook up. You and I connect well. We have great sex. This is fantastic. I'm not in a position to be in a relationship. I'm not looking for anything more than this, but I like having sex with you. That's cool too. All sides of the spectrum are cool. So that is today's Friday juiciness. I'll speak more about this. I'm trying to keep these a little bit shorter and sweeter because I could go on and on and on and on about these topics. But maybe I'll have a female on the show so we can have some dynamic and kind of go back and forth. I think that'd be really cool. So if there's any females out there who have watched up to this point and that want to be part of the podcast and want to get into some juicy talk, I would love to invite you on my show, on the More in the Know podcast, and we could talk about relationships, dating, sex, all the juicy things. And I promise I won't be a weirdo to you, so it could definitely be a platonic interaction. But I'd love to understand the female dialogue because I understand my dialogue about this, and I feel that I can connect on both the spectrums, but I would love to have a female's opinion. So that is today's More in the Know podcast. Thanks again for joining in. Shout out once again to my boy Tafuli. Rest in peace, my dude. I love you. You're up there with my guy Tough. As always, check out my Instagram and stay in the know at More in the Know. That's MORINTHEKNOW. FieldSupplements.com for all your supplement needs, the highest quality products on the market with the best raw ingredients, with top-of-the-line manufacturing procedures, and to check out my coaching packages, to elevate your consciousness, to stay and get into the game, to be present, to let go, to start your own business, and to level up. I'm your guy. I'm here to greatly assist you on each and every single one of those things at moreinthe.org, and you can find all my podcasts and blogs there as well. You guys have a beautiful Friday. We'll see you tomorrow.